Wong and Kim Wang with the Chinese American Citizens Alliance join me at the podium, please. Is Kim up there? Okay. Councilmember Chen, could you please read this resolution for us?
Absolutely, Mayor. Whereas on December 20th, 2018, President Trump signed into law Senate Bill S-1050, titled the Chinese American World War II Veteran Congressional Gold Medal Act, ordering the creation of a medal to recognize the Chinese Americans who volunteered or were drafted in World War II, and the Chinese Exclusion Act was still in place. And whereas as many as 20,000 Chinese Americans served in the U.S. Armed Forces during the war, with which 40% were not United States citizens due to the laws that denied citizenship to persons of Chinese descent. Chinese nationals and Chinese Americans faced institutional discrimination in the United States before World War II, limiting the size of their population and their ability to build thriving communities in the United States. Chinese Americans, although small in number, were made important contributions to the World War II effort. And whereas Chinese American women served in the Women's Army Corps, the Army Air Forces, and the United States Naval Women's Reserve. Some of the women became pilots, air traffic controllers, flight trainers, weather forecasters, occupational therapists, and nurses. And whereas Chinese Americans earned combat infantry badges, Purple Hearts, Bronze Stars, Silver Stars, Distinguished Service Cross, Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Medal of Honor. The United States remains forever indebted to the dedication, bravery, and valor that the Chinese American veterans displayed. The commitment and sacrifice of Chinese Americans demonstrates a highly uncommon and commendable sense of honor and patriotism in the face of discrimination. And whereas following the award of the gold medal in honor of Chinese American veterans of World War II, the gold medal shall be given to the Smithsonian Institute, where it shall be available for display and made accessible for research. And whereas the Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian honor bestowed by Congress, the Chinese American World War II Veterans Congressional Gold Medal Act is a result of a national campaign organized by the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, known as the Chinese American World War II Veterans Recognition Project.
Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council, on behalf of its members and the citizens of Torrance, California, commemorate Senate Bill S-1050, the Chinese American World War II Veteran Congressional Gold Medal Act, introduced, approved, and adopted this 21st day of May, 2019. Do you have a few words to say?
Well, I have a lot to say, Mr. Mayor, and I hope that you will indulge me. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council of Torrance, it is my great honor to receive this certificate. I know that many Chinese are now very proud of what has happened. But in doing so, let me tell you a little story of how this happened. In January of 2017, I got a call from our national president that said, we're going to try to get a congressional gold medal for Chinese American World War II veterans. And he says, we only have a very short windows to do this. And he says, we got to do it quick. You need to call Congressman Ed Royce and have him sponsor this bill. He is chairman of Foreign Relations. Will you do this for me, John? And I said, yes, I did. It was during the time when President Trump was being inaugurated, and our former mayor of Monterey Park, who is presently here today, was in Washington, D.C., and I called her. I said, you got to go and talk to Ed Royce. We got to get this thing done. We have to get it done at this Congress, or it can never be done again, because Congress has said they will no longer award the Congressional Gold Medal to any specific group. So we got to work, went to work. Betty Chu, former mayor of Monterey Park, went to talk to Congressman Ed Royce, and within minutes he says, I will do it, I will lead the charge. and these World War II veterans should be honored. 2 weeks later, we were in his Fullerton office, 5 of us, and we were given the assignment to write the legislation. I'd like to acknowledge former Mayor Betty Chu for writing that legislation with another member of our lodge. Mayor?
Wow.
It took us 4 months to write the legislation, going back and forth between Washington, D.C., between the sponsoring Senator Tammy Duckworth and the Congressman's office. In May of 2017, that legislation was introduced. And he said to us, we have a lot of work to do. This is troubled times, and it's not going to be easy. And we said, we have a lot of work to do also. We're not going to let you do this on your own. We're not going to let you do the charge on your own, because we're going to help. 2 weeks later, after it was introduced, our alliance with 37 members descended on Washington, D.C. Our leadership from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., from Boston to the San Gabriel Valley, from Houston to Chicago. We descended on Washington, D.C., and we walked the corridor of power, and we came out of that in 3 days with 60 co-sponsors to the bill. In September of 2018, we secured 67 members of the Senate to co-sponsor this bill. In December of 2018, we secured 308 co-sponsors to this bill in the House. This bill is now, it cannot be vetoed. It was veto-proof. It was sent to the President's office, yes, on December the 20th. I mean, actually, it was sent to him on December the 17th, and he signed it on the 20th. And we have a lot to celebrate. And I welcome the City of Torrance and its leadership to join in celebrating this event with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. What is relatively unknown is that only 9% of the general population served in World War II. But during that time, with the Chinese Exclusion Act, with our population being so small, when General Chennault and General Stilwell said, we cannot fight this war without the Chinese. We are losing it, even with the Flying Tigers in China. They entreated President Roosevelt to put out a call for the Chinese who were denied the right to enlist when they volunteered to serve in World War II. And 20% of our population served in that war, with many of these young bachelors knowing that if they died, that was the end of the family tree for that particular son. So I want to indicate that if there are any members of World War II veteran families and World War II veterans of Chinese American descent living here in Torrance, we would welcome, after the President presents the medal in Washington, D.C., we would welcome to come, if the City Council would like, that we would have the veterans come here to your City Hall, and we will give you the duplicate medals to present to these World War II veterans. Thank you.
I think I should say on behalf of my colleagues that the invitation is there. When that happens, if we have some residents from Torrance who are among those, we're very fortunate who are identified as the gold medal recipients, we certainly will have them here and give them the acknowledgement right here.
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation.
Mr. Mayor, actually, The Congressional Gold Medal will consist approximately 16 ounces of gold, pure gold. And there will be only one struck, and it will be submitted and be presented to the Smithsonian. But our alliance has dedicated and made a pledge that we will give a duplicate medal cast in bronze to any World War II veteran of Chinese descent. And we will pay for that out of our own pocket. And when that is done, perhaps when that medal is being toured throughout the United States, maybe perhaps we can have it presented here in Torrance.
I think we should.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Right. Come on over.
So,
Wow. Okay. Okay. Watch out, buddy. I'll be able to come too. Wonderful.